So my name's Dual, and it's short for dualism. Essentially the idea that I transverse through this life. There's an up and down, a good and bad, a black and white. So it's funny because my first introduction to graffiti would be in the early 90s, and I'm in middle school, and I grew up in A-Leaf, and I would see these italic Old English letters all around, and eventually I would find out that there were like gangs that were in the area, basically like Southwest Cholos, La Familia, and I would start to see these letters around, and I just kind of was attracted to them, to where I remember immediately going to the library and checking out this book on old English fonts and printing the traditional Old English alphabet and having it in my binder and just drawing them and practicing and then learning the letters. You'll fast forward down the line, I take a trip to Amsterdam in 2001 as a DJ to go buy music and to go to rave parties. And while I'm there, I start to see tags and graffiti on everything, like every possible surface you could think of, even to like their sculptures and their statues, and I'm just like, this is fucking crazy. I come back to Houston and I'll never forget, I'm driving down the freeway leaving IAH, and I start seeing next, DTS, next. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is like one dude around like everywhere I look. And I was like, I'm one dude. I like letters, I want to do this, and that was my introduction to graffiti. It takes a long time to actually, get like a style or like what I like to call like a language. And now having been painting for going on 20 plus years now, I feel like my journey of an artist with a spray can has changed so much. I've learned so much. I've learned to look at the world differently, so that's affected my art. So for this mural, which is actually titled From the Streets to the Sky, is to be like a representation of my journey as an artist. So at the very front, you're greeted with an obvious nature scene because of like all the botanical elements that I'm like influenced by. Like every day there's less and less trees, less and less greenery. So in a way, my murals my duty is to kind of recreate that feeling. So you see the bird real large on it as it wraps around the porch. I then have a pretty much traditional graffiti piece where the artist paints their names in a camouflage way, and you add different extensions and little doodads and bits to it to just make it harder for you guys to read it, really. And then when you enter the house, you'll see more of a kind of like a graffiti mini production where it's just 3 letters that represent Project Row House, and they're kind of done in the way that a lot of crews in graffiti, which are groups of graffiti artists, will paint and represent themselves. So being part of a graffiti exhibit is an honor, to be honest, because I'm surrounded by like a lot of people that I looked up to. Color, Gonzo, these are all guys that paved the way for graffiti. So to be included in that group is truly an honor. This gives me the opportunity to show people that, look, any person starting from wherever they are, if they like art or if they're a fan of art or whatever it is, as long as you work hard and push, you can accomplish really whatever you want to accomplish in this world. There's the opportunity. So I'm honored, and I find that it's really important to be part of this round. So graffiti being powerful for multiple reasons. One, because it's a voice. It's showing that we're not being shut up, we're not being contained, constrained, held back, and that's important. It's very influential, and it has a lot of inspiration in itself, and it can motivate people to maybe not even want to do graffiti. Maybe just by seeing that, it motivates them to want to fight something in another way. It's just a crazy art form how a kid just wanting to go out and paint something where they're not supposed to paint, how it can have such a crazy impact. And I think it's a way of communication. To me, it's like super important. I always say a city without graffiti is like a city without soul. And I don't want to live in a city like that, There's definitely a line that defines graffiti. To me, graffiti, the application of a medium on a surface without permission. without permission. That's like the important part, right? That is what actually makes something truly graffiti. I think even after like a decade of having painted graffiti, I realized that it was a stepping stone for me, that it could open up other doors. Like I knew that I didn't want to just be this crush, kill, destroy graffiti artist for my whole life. Like I knew that if you did that, there was possibly an end of a road. You go to jail, you might get hurt, shot, killed, you know, something, you know, there wasn't many positive outcomes to it. So I love graffiti, and I always will, and I always say that if I had to go back in time and go up to those gates of graffiti and there's this guy there that's like, do you want to enter this again and do it all over? Hell yeah, I would do it all over again. But it's definitely opened up and made me be the artist that I am now, and now I want to create art that is also inspiring and opens up people's minds to just different things.